The morning isn't about motivation, it's about war, and most people will never understand that because they treat mornings like something soft, something gentle, something that should feel good. But a millionaire's morning isn't designed for comfort, it's designed for domination. It's the first battlefield of the day, and how you show up in those first hours sets the tone for everything that follows. When you wake up, you're not just opening your eyes, you're declaring whether you're in control of your life or whether your life is in control of you. Those first few minutes decide which side you're on. Most people hit snooze, millionaires don't, not because they enjoy waking up early, but because they refuse to lose the first battle. They refuse to let weakness win. You train your mind from the very first second. I do what I say, I get up when I say, I move when I say. That's discipline, and discipline is the foundation of every great empire. There's no rush, no chaos, no grabbing your phone to drown in notifications. A millionaire's morning is structured, intentional, and slow on the outside, but razor sharp on the inside. The silence is not for relaxation, it's for clarity, it's for seeing your inner world without distraction. When you meditate, when you journal, when you sit alone with your thoughts, you're not doing some self-help ritual. You're sharpening your mental blade, because the world will try to dull it the moment you step outside. People think motivation is what gets you going. Motivation is a joke. It's unreliable, emotional, and disappears the moment life gets hard. War doesn't care about motivation. War cares about consistency. Every morning, you sit with your goals, your pain, your ambitions. You reconnect with why you're doing this in the first place. You remind yourself of the standard you've chosen to live by. Most people avoid their thoughts. Millionaires confront them head on because clarity creates power, and power creates progress. Before most people even begin their day, a millionaire has already built momentum. And momentum is a weapon. It's what makes the rest of the day easier, sharper, faster. While the world is still sleepy and distracted, you're already mentally prepared, physically awake, and emotionally committed. The morning isn't a routine. It's not for inspiration. It's not for aesthetics. It's war. And when you win the war in the morning, the rest of the day has no chance of defeating you. Work is not work, it's identity. And that is the fundamental difference between someone who is merely busy and someone who is undeniably successful. Most people drag themselves through tasks trying to get things done. They treat work like an obligation, something separate from who they are. But for a millionaire, work is not something external. It is an expression of their character, their standards, and their internal architecture. Their results are a reflection of their identity, not their effort. When you see a millionaire move through their day, it looks effortless. Not because they do less, but because what they do aligns perfectly with who they believe themselves to be. Productivity is not a hack or a strategy for them. It's a default setting. They don't negotiate with themselves. They don't sit around waiting for the perfect mood or ideal level of energy. They work because this is who they are. They work because their goals are stitched into their identity. And when something becomes identity, it stops being optional. Most people try to force a focus. Millionaires simply operate in focus. They build an environment that removes nonsense. No constant notifications pinging them every 3 minutes. No juggling 10 apps or switching from one dopamine hit to another. Their workspace, their devices, their surroundings, everything is engineered to support the identity they have chosen. They value their time like gold, and they protect their attention with the same intensity. A millionaire doesn't pick up every call, doesn't respond to every message, doesn't involve themselves in meaningless conversations. Not because they are cold, but because their time is the engine of their life. And engines don't run on distractions. They understand leverage in a way that most people cannot even comprehend. While the average person is drowning in low-value work, millionaires look for ways to multiply output without multiplying effort. They delegate, they automate, they build systems that run without them. They obsess over finding the highest return activities and then pour their energy into those with ruthless precision. This is why they can grow faster, achieve more, and rise above the noise, because they're not stuck in the mud of unimportant tasks. The way a millionaire approaches work is calm but intense, detached but deeply committed. They don't need chaos to feel productive, and they don't glorify burnout. They move through priorities with purpose, clarity, and direction. Every task they choose fits into a larger mission. They operate with a crystal, clear sense of what matters and what doesn't. And that clarity comes from identity, not from a to-do list. To them, work is a form of self-respect. It's how they demonstrate to themselves that they are capable of more, worthy of more, and built for more. They understand that results are not just the product of grinding, they are the byproduct of becoming a certain kind of person, so they wake up each day not asking what needs to be done, but instead, how would the person I want to become move today? When that question drives your decisions, mediocrity has no place in your life. Because of this identity-driven work ethic, millionaires don't collapse at the end of the day feeling drained or resentful. They end their day knowing they honored their values, they know they acted in alignment with the vision they have crafted for themselves, and that creates momentum, confidence, and an inner strength that compounds over time. Work becomes more than activity, it becomes expression, and once your work aligns with your identity, consistency becomes natural, discipline becomes easy, results become inevitable. That's why for a real millionaire, work isn't something they do. It's who they are. Nights are for building the future, not escaping the present, and this is where most people sabotage themselves without even realizing it. They survive the day, and the moment the sun sets, they shift into escape mode, Netflix, scrolling, cheap dopamine, endless noise that keeps them numb. They treat the night like a break from reality instead of a chance to shape it. But a millionaire sees the night differently. The night is where clarity lives. The night is where strategy lives. The night is where real transformation happens. When the world slows down and everything gets quiet, the mind finally becomes honest. The noise fades, the distractions fall away, the mask people wear throughout the day disappears. And that's exactly why millionaires use this time intentionally. They aren't afraid to be alone with their thoughts. In fact, they seek it because the real truth about your progress, your habits, your weaknesses, and your potential only comes out when everything else is silent. Most people end their day by numbing. Millionaires end their day by noticing. They reflect, not in a soft journal for 5 minutes way, but with a sharp sense of accountability. What did I do today that pushed me forward? What did I tolerate that I shouldn't have? What did I avoid? Where did I betray my potential? The night becomes a mirror, and they look directly into it. This is how improvement becomes inevitable, because you cannot fix what you refuse to face. The night is also when they study, not mindlessly scrolling motivational content, but deliberately feeding the mind with books, knowledge, new frameworks, and better ways to think. Millionaires know that money doesn't grow from hustle alone, it grows from perspective. It grows from understanding, it grows from thinking differently, and nights are the perfect time to upgrade the operating system that will run tomorrow. While the average person ends their day trying to escape their reality, millionaires use the night to design a better one. They plan, they strategize, they set their next day with precision so they don't wake up and operate on accident. Their calendar, their priorities, their top outcomes, everything is laid out before they sleep. Because if you wake up without a plan, you wake up reactive, and a reactive life is a poor life. Millionaires also use the night to reconnect with their mission. During the day, you can get pulled off track by noise, pressure, calls, people. At night, you return to the bigger picture. You remind yourself why you're doing all of this. You bring the future into the present, so every action tomorrow has meaning. This is what keeps them consistent. Not hype, not motivation, but a deep emotional alignment with the life they're building. And here's the part most people underestimate. Nights are where discipline is truly built. Anyone can work hard for a few hours. Anyone can pretend to be productive in the morning. But it takes a different level of self-respect to choose long-term progress over short-term escape at the end of the day when you're tired, when your brain wants dopamine, when giving in feels easy. Mastering your nights means mastering your impulses. And mastering your impulses means mastering your life. When you use your nights to prepare, you wake up with confidence. When you use your nights to reflect, you wake up with clarity. When you use your nights to learn, you wake up with power. And when you use your nights to build the future, you stop feeling the need to escape the present, because the present finally becomes something you're proud of. That is why night is sacred, not for running from your life, but for shaping the one you're determined to create.